for some reason, people want to start a masjid and they are short of money, then they ended up getting a loan from the bank or like a mortgage, basically. So we say in English, what's done cannot be undone. If it's done, to start with, it's haram to deal with interest, okay? Simply because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, the Prophet told us about Allah, he said, Inna Allaha tayyibun la yaqbalu illa tayyiba. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is good and He doesn't accept anything except if it's good. So I can't, for example, steal and say, I'm gonna give this money for sadaqah, inshallah. My intention is good. Good intentions are not enough, okay? There are some very rich people and some, very poor people. So my job, inshallah, in the community, I'm gonna ambush the rich people, take their money, and then give it to the poor people. In Islam, the end does not justify the means. This is Machiavelli who said that. He said the end justifies the means, okay? So everything I do, always print this ayah and put it in front of you, inshallah, in all of your dealings. Surah 49, ayah number 1. Surah 49 is called Al-Hujurat. And it's one of the 89s where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran addresses very special people. People are believers and unbelievers, right? And Allah gave us the free will. وَقُلِ الْحَقُّ مِنْ رَبِّكُمْ. That's, Surah 18 that we should be reciting every Friday, ayah number 29. فَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيُؤْمِنْ وَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيَكْفُرْ. You have the free will, the free choice to believe or not to believe. Nobody can force you. But you have to take responsibility. If you choose to believe, alhamdulillah. Allah told us, وَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ إِنَّا لَا نُضِيعُ أَجْرَ مَنْ أَحْسَنَ عَمَلًا. As for those who believe and do righteous deeds, we will never send to waste their good deeds and their hard work. But Allah warned us, if you choose to disbelieve, He said, إِنَّا أَعْتَدْنَا لِلظَّالِمِينَ نَارًا. We have prepared for those who will be unfair to themselves and unfair to everyone around them and unfair to Allah, and they choose to disbelieve, we have prepared for them hellfire. So Allah told you the choices and the result and the consequences of your choices, and you are free. Is that clear? Now, if you choose to believe, Allah is addressing the believers at the beginning of Surah number 49, ayah number 1. Listen carefully. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. Do you know what does that mean? O you who believe. Is Allah talking to you? Yes. And to me? Yes. I'm proud, wallahi. And I wish I could achieve that level of iman that Allah gives me the honor to talk to me. And Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, I'll always call this until you memorize it. He said, when you hear Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, don't listen only with your ears. Give your heart too. Because after Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, in the 89 times in the Quran, Allah will tell you, do something or stay away from something. Is that clear? So always Allah will tell you, do something after Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, it's a command. Or a prohibition, which is something bad for you, stay away from it. Sometimes you may know the wisdom, sometimes you may not. But the meaning of the fact that you're a Muslim is that you submit to Allah without argument. Then it's up to Allah to show you the wisdom, or it's up to Allah not to show you the wisdom. But if you are going to ask why all the time, then you're not worshipping Allah, you're worshipping your reason. You want to take it here first. But a Muslim, إنما كان أمر المؤمنين إذا دعوا إلى الله ورسوله ليحكم بينهم أن يقولوا سمعنا وأطعنا. The state or the condition of a believer, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands them and asks them to do something, they would say, we listen and obey. But what do we do today? We listen and disobey. Or we listen and argue. Or we listen and we turn a deaf ear or a blind eye. If you're a true Muslim, you say, سمعنا وأطعنا. I submit. Not only that, the ayah that I shared in the khutbah today, I didn't have time to give you the story, but it's time to give you the story now. When there's a dispute that arises amongst the ummah, we have to take it back to Allah and His Messenger. And I'll give you two ayahs. Before I keep exciting you for the ayah that you should print out, but just stay tuned, inshallah, it's coming. Two ayahs. When there's an argument, when there's a dispute, where there's like a difference of opinion, when you don't agree with your spouse, your friend, like your neighbor, your Muslim brother, okay, take it back to who? Listen carefully to the ayah. You take it back to Allah and His Messenger. Surah is number 4. Ayah is number 59. Let me repeat this again. Surah 4, ayah 59. So say 459. We're not talking about a radio station, okay? We're talking about 4 is Surah Nisa. And ayah number 59. It's one of Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu again. One of the 89 times, O you who believe. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, O you who believe. Na'am ya Allah. Yes Allah. Ati'u Allah. Obey Allah. Wa ati'u Rasul. And obey the messenger. Listen carefully, the third one. Wa ulil amri minkum. And those who are in charge of you. Those who are responsible for you. Okay? But have you noticed something? I said, obey Allah. That's exactly the ayah. And then Allah said, wa, meaning and, obey the messenger. When it came to those who are in charge of you, Allah said, and those who are in charge of you. Allah deleted the word obey. Why? Listen carefully. This is very deep. So obey Allah, it's absolute. If you disobey one command of Allah, you're out of Islam. You can pick and choose. Is that clear? So they say, ta'atullahi mutlaqa. Obedience to Allah is absolute. I can't say, Ya Allah, we are in the 21st century and wearing the hijab or doing this is it's going to be embarrassing. You can pick and choose. You can be, part-time Muslim. Right? So, Allah said, Ati'u Allah. So, obedience to Allah is absolute. No discussion, no argument. Then He said, Wa ati'u Rasul. And obey the messenger. Allah also repeated the verb, the command. And obey the messenger. Again, why? Because obedience to the messenger is mutlaqa, is absolute. No argument. If you deny one authentic hadith of the Prophet, you're out of Islam. If you make fun of a hadith and say, man, we live in the 21st century, what does this mean here? Doesn't mean anything today. When the Sahaba heard some hadith that they have no knowledge of, they say, we listen and obey. Why? Because when I say a messenger, by default, someone sent him with a message. A messenger is sent by someone, right? So when the Prophet ﷺ says, do this or don't do this, where is he coming from? Who's telling him that? Allah. So obedience to the messenger is by default obedience to the one who sent him with the message. So obedience to both of them is absolute. No argument, no denial. Is that clear? Yes. Now, when Allah talked about وَأُولِي الْأَمْرِ مِنْكُمْ, those who are in charge of you, you are working in a company, there's somebody who's the manager, there's a president of a country, there's a king of a kingdom, there is, right? Those people, is their obedience equal to the obedience of Allah and His Messenger? No. The answer is no. It's conditional. This is why Allah took the verb وَأَطِيعُوا when it comes to ulil amr. Why? They said obedience to ulil amr, to those who are in charge, is conditional to their obedience to Allah and His Messenger first. So if a human being other than the Prophet ﷺ comes and tells me, you know what, we are in a very bad situation, and the economy is down. We want to build a masjid for Allah, so we're going to get a loan and make tawbah after that, inshallah. He's acting exactly like the brothers of Yusuf. You know what they did? They made a plan to kill Yusuf. And they made a plan of tawbah before they kill Yusuf. Allahu Akbar. Look what they said. اقتلوا يوسف أو اطرحوه أرضا يخل لكم وجه أبيكم وتكونوا من بعده قوما صالحين. Allahu Akbar. What type of plan is this? You know what? Kill Yusuf. Allahu Akbar. First proposal on the table. Kill Yusuf. Your brother? And you are the children of Yaqub, a prophet? أَوْ اطْرَحُوهُ أَرْضًا. Banish him in the land. Take him in the middle of nowhere and just like throw him there. Why? What is the drive? What is the motivation behind such a crime? يَخْلُ لَكُمْ وَجْهُ أَبِيكُمْ. Your father will look at you, which symbolizes what? He'll give you more care and more attention. Is that the reason for killing your own brother? Wait! وَتَكُونُ مِنْ بَعْدِهِ قَوْمًا صَالِحًا. And you're going to make tawbah after that, inshallah. It's like someone saying, you know, brother, I know some brothers who can get 2 kilograms of heroin. We'll sell them, inshallah, and make a masjid. And give sadaqah and go for hajj. And then we'll start a business after that and make tawbah, alhamdulillah. You see what I'm trying to say? I'm just trying to give you different analogies. You're starting with something haram to start with, and then you are preparing tawbah. Hold on. Can you guarantee to live, inshallah, after you sell the heroin, after you kill Yusuf? Then you can make tawbah. Do you guarantee that? So stop it right there. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay. So now we're talking before things happen, right? So Allah said, وَأَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَأَطِيعُوا الرَّسُولَ وَأُولِي الْأَمْرِ مِنْكُمْ. Right? So if my boss at work said, listen, I have a very good plan for you. You know what? I'm the manager of the bank. And I know a scheme. If we do together, nobody will notice. We're going to start a new account. And there are like billion companies working with us. We'll just draw some cents from these companies and drop them in that account. And these little drops are like the drop of a tab. By the end of the year, it will make $1 million. Nobody will notice that. What do you think? And that account will be under your name and 50-50 at the end of the year. What do you think? Nobody will notice that. Would you agree to that? Is this haram or haram?
Haram.
Done. So I'm not going to discuss whether I'm going to think about it or not. Should I obey that manager? Because what he's commanding me is disobedience to Allah and His Messenger. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay. Then Allah said, okay, now there's an argument. Like, man, let's do it. If we don't do this, I'm going to fire you. You know, like, we have to build this masjid, like, because we're going to look good in front of people, you know. And inshallah, we'll be the board of that masjid. And inshallah, we'll do everything halal. We'll bring a good sheikh and we'll guide the community. But look at the foundation first. Right? So Allah said, فَإِن تَنَازَعْتُمْ فِي شَيْءٍ. So if you cannot agree and there's a dispute, فَرُدُّوهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَالرَّسُولِ. Take it back to Allah and His Messenger. Who will do this? Allah put a condition. He said, إِن كُنْتُمْ تُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ. If you believe in Allah, and you believe that you will be standing in front of Allah on the day of account and you're going to be brought to account, why did you make that decision? Why did you get involved in that? At that point, you're going to say, you know what, we better go back to Allah and His Messenger. But if you say, I know 2 masjids in Toronto, they did this. I know 2 masjids, you know, in Winnipeg, they did this. I know 2 masjids in BC, they did this. I know 2 masjids in Ottawa, they did this. What are you telling me? Is this the quote from the Quran? Are these the people that you are imitating? Hold on. Are they doing something wrong or wrong? That's the question. Is that clear?
Yes.
Now, we finished this ayah? Shall I take you to the other ayah? Okay. Now, this ayah is telling us, go back to Allah and His Messenger, right? Practically speaking, who is the best man who put the Quran into action? Who is the best role model for us? According to Surah number 33, ayah number 21. لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. Indeed, you have the best example in the Messenger of Allah, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Again, who will do this? It's always repeated in the Quran. لِمَنْ كَانَ يَرْجُو اللَّهَ وَالْيَوْمَ الْآخِرِ وَذَكَرَ اللَّهَ كَثِيرًا. Those who will take the Prophet ﷺ as the best example are those who believe in Allah and the last day. You see, always they're thinking about that day. I'm going to stand in front of Allah. I'll be given a record of everything I have said, everything I have done. And they remember Allah all the time. Is that clear? Now, let me give you the other ayah. Then we're going to go to the first one that we started with. Repeat after me. 465. So we finished 459. Let's move to 465. The same surah. Surah number 4. What's it called? An-Nisa, mashallah. Women, right? They say Islam is oppressive to women. Is there a surah called men? Al-Rijal in the Quran? Subhanallah. And they say Islam is oppressive to women. That's ignorance. Right? Allah dedicated a whole surah called An-Nisa. And He talked about the rights. Right? So what does Allah say in this ayah? Allah is addressing Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and I'm going to tell you the story behind it. He said, فَلَا وَرَبِّكَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. O Muhammad, with your Rabb, with your master. I don't like the word Lord because it has biblical and human connotation. Okay? So I use the word Rabb itself or master. فَلَا وَرَبِّكَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. O Muhammad, with your master, they wouldn't attain full iman. حَتَّى يُحَكِّمُوكَ. Until they take you as a judge. فِيمَا شَجَرَ بَيْنَهُمْ. When there's a dispute or argument amongst them. And then once the Prophet ﷺ passes a judgment, he says you should do this or you shouldn't do this. Allah said, ثُمَّ لَا يَجِدُوا فِي أَنفُسِهِمْ حَرَجًا مِمَّا قَضَيْتَ. And then after you say that's the right thing to be done, they shouldn't have any hard feelings in their hearts. Because sometimes I feel or I think I know. So somebody comes and says, this is wrong, I'm going to say, huh? How come? I've been doing this. I've been believing in this for a long time. It's exactly what Quraysh told the Prophet ﷺ when he came with something new. He said, no 360 idols. There's only one God. They said, man, we have been doing this for how many years? Our forefathers have been doing this. Allah rebutted. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refuted this mentality by saying, قُلْ أَوَلَوْ كَانَ آبَاؤُكُمْ لَا يَعْقِلُونَ شَيْئًا وَلَا يَهْتَدُونَ. If your parents were wrong, if they were misguided, would you just follow them? So if I know that this is the truth, I say, okay, سَمِعْنَا وَأَطَعْنَا. Oh Allah, forgive me in the past. I'm going to start anew, inshallah. Is that clear? Okay, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us in this ayah, ثُمَّ لَا يَجِدُ فِي أَنفُسِهِمْ حَرَجًا means that they should not have any hard feelings in whatever the Prophet ﷺ decided. وَيُسَلِّمُوا تَسْلِيمًا. And they apply the meaning of Islam. They submit completely. Because sometimes, you know, when you tell your teenager, by the way, talking back to your mom is not right. Everybody does this. All my friends do this. I'm like, okay, that doesn't validate it. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all the time in the Quran, He will say, whenever He uses the word most or the majority of people, something negative will come behind after that. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses few in the Quran, something positive will always be there. I'll give you 3 examples. وَمَا أَكْثَرُ النَّاسِ وَلَوْ حَرَصْتَ بِمُؤْمِنِينَ. O Muhammad, the majority of people, even though you are keen to bring them to Iman, they will not believe. So it's not my fault. If the majority of people outside, how many people are living on earth today? 7 billion approximately. How many of them are Muslims? And how many of the Muslims are practicing Muslims? So don't use the word, everybody's doing this. I don't care. It doesn't validate it that most people are doing it. Is that clear? You're going to be responsible for yourself on the day of judgment. Allah is not going to ask you about what people did. Allah's going to ask you. وَإِن تُطِعْ أَكْثَرَ مَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ يُضُلُّكَ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. If you follow the majority of people on earth today, they will misguide you and take you away from the path of Allah. Would you like more? But the word few, there is a prophet who spent 950 years inviting people to Islam. وَمَا آمَنَ مَعَهُ إِلَّا قَلِيلٌ. Few people accepted Islam at his hands. You know, one of the best narrations, they said 18 people believed in Nuh alayhi salam. 950 years. Can you just try to divide 18 by 950 people? How many people per, like how many, it's like people, how many people, you know, per year? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَقَلِيلٌ مِّنْ عِبَادِيَ الشَّكُورِ. Very few people amongst my slaves, true slaves, are grateful. But the majority are in denial. They are ungrateful. So don't use that mentality, that argument, like, you know, everybody's doing this. Most people are doing this. Allah's not going to ask you about people. Allah's going to ask you about you. كُلُّ نَفْسٍ بِمَا كَسَبَتْ رَهِينًا. You're held accountable for yourself. Is that clear? So what's the story behind this? Why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala share that story? Like, you know, oh Muhammad, by your master, they wouldn't attain full iman until they accept your judgment, and they wouldn't have hard feelings, and they will submit completely. You know, as Zubair ibn al-Awam, have you heard about Zubair, one of the 10 promised Jannah while they were still walking on earth? He's the cousin of the Prophet ﷺ. Okay? He had a piece of land. And there was another companion, another Sahabi, who had a piece of land next to the land of Zubair radiallahu anhu. The land of Zubair, the level of the land was a bit higher than the land of his neighbor. Okay? So when they wanted to irrigate the land, to bring water, to cultivate the land, they started arguing, should they bring the water to the neighbor of Zubair first or to Zubair's land first? And then when they had a dispute, they went to the Prophet ﷺ. They said, Prophet of Allah, come and tell us what to do. And the Prophet ﷺ, when he saw the level, he said, it's logical that you bring the water to the land of Zubair and then open part, and then the water will be easily coming to the other land. It's not going to be the harder way. And then the man, the neighbor said, and kana ibn ammatik? Are you saying his land should be irrigated first because he's your cousin? And Allah revealed the ayah. The Prophet ﷺ was so decent. He wouldn't even talk or argue with people. Allah said, فَلَا وَرَبِّكَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. These people will never attain full iman until they take you as a judge. When a dispute arises, as they have done now, and then once you pass a judgment, they shouldn't have any hard feelings in their hearts. The Prophet ﷺ was never biased. If you're saying this, let me ask you a very simple question. In the Battle of Badr, the first battle of Islam, when the 3 giants of Quraysh came out for the duel, you know, it was the custom of the Arabs before they start, you know, the spark of any battle was like some people will come and challenge individually, and then after that, the battle will start. So when the 3 giants of Quraysh came out, Utbah and Shaybah and Walid, who came out to challenge them? Some passionate people from the Ansar. And the Prophet said, please, go back. And those champions of Quraysh, they said, we want our peers. We want our rivals. They need champions from the immigrants, not from the Ansar. So whom did the Prophet ﷺ command? He commanded Hamza, his uncle, his family member. He's not biased. If I'm going to sacrifice, I'm going to sacrifice my own family first, because I'm leading by example. Ali, radiallahu anhu, and Ubaydullah al-Harith, his cousin. So the 3 people were family members of the Prophet ﷺ. He said, he's telling people, no, when it comes to sacrifice, my family will be in the front. And they said, Ali radiallahu anhu, even though he was known to be brave, he said, when the battle is really, really like getting so, hot, he said, we used to be behind the Prophet ﷺ while he's fighting, because he's the first one. Immigration. Is it something easy to leave your own country and you're forced to leave simply because you're a Muslim? Who was the first couple to leave Mecca to Abyssinia? It was Ruqayya, the daughter of the Prophet, and her husband Uthman ibn Affan. So if I'm leading by example. I'm not saying, oh, no, keep my family to the end. Let everybody else die. Let everybody face challenges. No. So you can't come and say, because he's your cousin, So Allah said, no, they will not be true believers and have full iman until they take you as a judge. And once you pass a judgment, they shouldn't have hard feelings against your judgment, and they should submit completely. Is that clear now? Okay, that's the story behind this ayah. Let me jump back to the first ayah that I started with. We said 49:1, right? Surah Al-Hujurat, ayah number 1. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu. Say na'am ya Rabb. Allah's talking to you. You're very special. As if, and to Allah belongs the best example. If somebody's calling you here now and you like that person, what would you do? Would you wait? You'd pick up the call right away, right? And you will smile. It means I love that person. And you wouldn't even want to end the conversation if the other person, the other end wants to say, okay, inshallah. It's like, no. I wanted to tell you something else. And I wanted to ask you a question. And can we meet inshallah? Because you love that person. So if Allah is calling you now, what should you do? Pick up the call right away and say, yes, Allah, I'm here. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu. لا تقدموا بين يدي الله ورسوله. Allah is saying, oh, you who believe, if you're a true believer, don't put anyone in front of Allah and His Messenger before you make any decision or you say anything in your life. Meaning, I'll make it simple. Before you make a decision in your life, ask Allah, Ya Allah, will you be pleased with that? If the answer is yes, proceed to the next question. Ya Rasulullah, is this your way of doing things? If the answer is yes, go ahead and do it. This is a good deed. These are the two conditions for a deed to be a good deed. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in ayah number 2, in surah number 67, Surah Al-Mulk, He said in the first ayah, تبارك الذي بيده الملك وهو على كل شيء قدير. We know this one. Second one, الذي خلق الموت والحياة. And then He summarized the purpose of our life in the following part. ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا. MashaAllah. He's repeating with me. He memorizes the ayah. MashaAllah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ. So the purpose of this life is summarized in this part of the ayah. Allah has created us, and we were nothing, and then He brought us to this life as a test. Where's the test? أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. Who will be the best when it comes to what? The quality of deeds or the quantity of deeds? Did He say أَكْثَرُ عَمَلًا or أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا? That's the difference. أَكْثَرُ عَمَلًا means too many deeds, mashallah, but you were showing off. Done. Not accepted. You see the ayah that we recited in the second rak'ah? الَّذِينَ هُمْ يُرَاءُونَ. Yura'un means they come to the masjid to show off. Then, no benefit from that salah. I asked one time one hafiz, mashallah, after he memorized the Quran, I was in a park and I said, why did he memorize the Quran? He said, my uncle is always in the front and everybody comes to shake his hands. I want to be in that position, inshallah. I said, Allahu Akbar, you're doing hifz so that you can be in the front and people come and shake your hands. That's riyah. So we have to visit our intention all the time. We do what we do only to, and that's question number 1. لا تقدموا بين يدي الله ورسوله. Don't put anyone in front of Allah. So before you do anything, I'm going to buy a house. Stop there. How? Everybody's stop telling me everybody, okay? Stop telling me everybody. That's not an ayah or a hadith. That's not a code. That's not your dalil. That's not your evidence, okay? Tell me, Ya Allah, I'm going to buy a house and I don't have the money for that house, so I have to go into mortgage. I have to go into riba. So, Ya Allah, what do you think? Can I do it? Allah is going to answer you in Surah Al-Baqarah. وَأَحَلَّ اللَّهُ الْبَيْعَ وَحَرَّمَ الرِّبَى. Allah made halal selling, but He made riba haram. But is there sometimes situations where I can go for that? Yes, but you have to ask first. Is it a necessity? Who will decide that? Not you, because mashallah, I told you many times, how many Muslims do we have today? 1.8 billion. Amongst those 1.8 billion, there is 1.9 billion muftis. Do you agree with me or agree? Wallahi, talk to the layman, he's going to say, Wallahi, akhi, okay, just give me a second here. If you go to that sheikh, he's very strict. He's going to tell you haram. Don't go to him. I know a good sheikh. Everything is halal, mashallah. Very easy. You go even to his masjid, you don't have to pray the sunnah. He will pray sunnah for you, inshallah. You just do the fard, inshallah. Okay? So, there was a brother who was living in the States, and he was Palestinian, and he had 8 kids. I'm just giving you a scenario. I'm not asking you even to be a mufti, but I'm giving you a scenario. And he was laid off, and the state where he used to live is like Canada, mashallah. They have lots of snow. So he was in the street, jobless, homeless, with 8 kids. He doesn't have a passport. He cannot even go back to Palestine. He cannot go to any Arab or Islamic country. So he is stuck. That's called a necessity. So when he came to the sheikh, and he asked him, what can I do? He said, you're going to die. No source of income for food, no source of income for a place to live, right? Then he can take a mortgage. So are we all in the same situation?
No.
What about the house of Allah? You want to buy a house of Allah. You buy it with something haram? Can I steal some money and come inshallah on the 27th of Ramadan when we do a fundraising here? I'm going to say, Sheikh, I'll give you 10,000. I just hold up a bank. Don't tell anyone. But I want to contribute to the masjid, inshallah. Is this acceptable?
No.
So Allah said, أحسن عملا. So you have to understand, أحسن عملا, al-amal al-hasan, a good deed has 2 conditions. Take them back, say 41:1. Ayah number 1, so number 49. Surah Al-Hujurat. Right? لا تقدموا, you can memorize it in Arabic. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تقدموا بين يدي الله ورسوله. Don't ask anyone. Ask Allah first and then ask His Messenger. If you don't know, ask the scholars who will lead you to know what Allah says in this area. Right? So I give you simple answers and simple analogies. Okay? If I don't have money to buy this phone, should I just go and borrow money and buy that phone? Borrow a halal loan? Should I? No. If it's not a necessity in my life, it's a luxury, I don't need it. Oh, I don't have the watch now. Like somebody gave me the watch that you see me wearing. It's a Psycho watch. It's an expensive watch, not like, extremely expensive. It's like about $300, $400. Wallahi, I would never buy a watch except for $10. Why? What's the job of the watch? To tell me the time. I have the time even here. I don't need a watch. Right? But I was in Fort McMurray in 209 in Ramadan, and mashallah, there was a brother who has like a jewelry place, and he sells watches and stuff. He came at the end of the month. He said, Sheikh, I loved what you have done in our community, and I want to give you a gift. Should I accept the gift? It's a sunnah to give a gift and accept a gift. But later on, I knew that this watch is expensive, right? And somebody came and said, Sheikh, you're talking about not, being this and not being this, and you're wearing a watch. I said, Wallahi, I don't know. And Wallahi, it's a gift. People will always question, no problem. That's good. Because if you don't clarify this, they're going to say, this man is saying something and doing something else. And he's going to quote Surah Al-Saf, كَبُرَ مَقْتًا عِنْدَ اللَّهِ أَن تَقُولُوا مَا لَا تَفْعَلُونَ. You say something, you do something, like when your son comes and say, Dad, you're talking about someone, and I think the sheikh said this is backbiting. He says, shh, this is plus 18 stuff. It's not for you. No. If backbiting is haram, it's haram for somebody who's 1 year old and for somebody who's 101 year old. Right? There's nothing called plus 18 stuff here. Is that clear? What's haram is haram. And this is why sometimes this is the way we raise our children. We say, listen to what I'm saying and don't look at what I'm doing. It's like, guess what? He will never listen to what you're saying. He can only see what you're doing. He's going to imitate you. And I gave a video, I showed a video one time to some people. Kid is walking with his dad. His dad was smoking, and the kid was like holding something in his hand, like a pen. Just like imagining, like my dad is doing this, he's wrong, he's right. But then the dad says, don't smoke because it's not good. Why are you smoking then? He's not going to say it when he's young, but when he becomes as tall as you, he's going to say, what about you? You come back at like Asr time, right? And you say to your son, did you pray? He's going to say, no, not yet, because he's young, right? But when he becomes that tall, you say, did you pray? He's like, what about you? Right? Because the best way is to lead by example. And I gave you the example of the Prophet ﷺ. Right? So going back to conclude after this long story, because I wanted to make it very clear to answer your question, is would you start the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala based on something haram?
No.
Let me give you a last example. Do you know when a janazah comes to the masjid at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, when a dead body comes, a funeral, the Prophet ﷺ would ask one question before he leads the salah on the janazah. And that's what I do all the time. Is he in debt? Is she in debt? And then if they say yes, he will say, let someone else lead the janazah, I'm not going to lead the janazah. Hold on. He's talking about a halal debt, not a haram debt. Is that clear? He's talking about a halal debt. Like, I came to Brother Awlad, and I know he's a multi-billionaire, mashallah, say, Brother Awlad, can you just give me 100,000 till the end of the year? That's halal, right? He's going to tell me, okay, I'll give you the 100,000. How much do you need by the end of the year from me back? It's like 100,000. We're Muslims, man. It's like, Jazakallah khair. This is a halal debt. But if he tells me, okay, I'll give you the 100,000, but inshallah at the end of the year, you give me 110, inshallah. What's that 10? Man, it's like interest. A nice word, interest. No, I'm not interested, akhi. Jazakallah khair. If you give me 1,000 till the end of the month, I give you back 1,000. That's halal. So imagine if the man is in debt and it's a halal debt, the Imam of the Ummah wouldn't lead the janazah on that person. And one time, he asked the same question and they said, yes, he is in debt. And the Prophet said, let someone else pray on him. And Abu Qatada radiallahu anhu, one of the Sahaba said, Daynuhu dayni ya Rasulullah. I'll pay off on his behalf, ya Rasulullah. But please pray on him. So the Prophet prayed on him. First day, after he buried the janazah, he asked Abu Qatada, did you pay off? He said, not yet. Second day, same answer. Third day, same answer. Fourth day, he said, Addayta an? Have you paid off his debt? And Abu Qatada said, yes. He said, Al-ana barudat jildatu. Now the punishment in the grave stopped. And it's a halal debt. What about a haram debt? So if this is between the humans and the humans, what about between you and Allah? Is that clear? So the answer is clear. But now let's go to the second scenario. It's already done. Are you talking about something that's already done?
Yes, already.
Okay. So what's done cannot be undone. Let's be realistic in Islam, right? So what should I do? I should try my best to pay off that debt as soon as possible. As soon as possible. That should be my intention. I should try to go and get a qarda hasan, an interest-free loan from some people and pay that money. Try to bring the Muslims together like brothers. Each one give 1,000, 2,000, 10,000, whatever. This is the house of Allah. We want to pay it off for now, and then we're going to pay you back, inshallah. So to start with, it's haram, but if it's done, then we should pay it off as soon as possible. When a brother comes to me, he's like, I have, a house by mortgage, I have a car by mortgage. He already had it. He's not asking me, can I? If he says, can I say, no, don't do it. Is that clear? So what's the alternative, akhi? Because some of you might say, what is the alternative? Everybody's owning a house. What about me? You want to own a house regardless of the consequences? It's up to you. But if you know the consequences and you say, no, I did it, but I regret now. I say, okay, now we can talk. So try to pay it off as soon as possible. Try even if you can afford to, because once you are paying a mortgage, it means you can pay a rent. But the rent is halal. But you say, Sheikh, it's the same thing because I'm paying off the mortgage of someone else. I said, would you like to act like him? Do you believe the same faith like him? No. And wallahi, a brother came to me one time in another city, back about maybe 10 years ago. And he told me, and I said, try to get rid of your mortgages. Because he had 4. A house he lived in, another house he was renting, mashallah, to bring revenue for him. A car that he was driving and a car that he was using, renting. And I said, it will be difficult. You'll go through difficulty. But at least you will meet Allah. And you will have no issues with Allah. Because can I just even go in detail about this? Because this is a very important topic. I know I took too much time to answer one question, but it's a big topic by itself. Because many of us could be, falling into this. When they tell you own a house by mortgage, can I just ask a naive question? Do you own the house? That's number one. I'm going to discuss it in very simple terms. Do you own the house? I'm sorry, it's the bank that owns the house. Reason is, once a recession hits, once you lose your job, what's the first question? Turn in the keys, get out of here. And they sell the house. So in reality, you don't own a house. Let's say you are 35 and you go into a mortgage. And the mortgage is going to be for 30 or 35 years. Are you guaranteed to live, inshallah, another 35 years to own that house? I know many people, wallahi, they didn't finish paying off and they left this dunya. Number two, how much do you pay? Almost by the end of that term, 30, 35 years, you would have paid 3 or 4 times the price of that house. Is this halal in Islam? Is this something acceptable? Number 3, can you wage a war against Allah and His Messenger? Can you challenge them? Allah said, if you are dealing with riba, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, again one of the 89 times in the Quran, one of the calls, ittaqullah, be conscious of Allah, وَذَرُوا مَا بَقِيَ مِنَ الرِّبَى, stop dealing with riba. إِن كُنتُم مُؤْمِنِينَ, Allah said it's a condition. If you're a believer, if you claim to be a believer, فَإِن لَمْ تَفْعَلُوا, if you don't stop, فَأْذَنُوا بِحَرْبٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ, then you are waging a war against Allah and His Messenger. I said, brother, how is your life? The brother who has 4 mortgages, he said, wallahi, it's like hell. My wife is fighting with me on a daily basis. I said, you're waging a war against Allah and His Messenger. Not only one front, you have 4 fronts of the war, mashallah. You're very brave. Right? He said, my kids, I try forcing them to come to your halaqa, they never come. And there is no barakah in any money that I'm making. I said, can you try to stop the war with Allah and His Messenger? Fast track. 2 years later, I was in the same city. I gave a khutbah. After the khutbah, there's a brother coming to me, hugging me, and he's crying like a baby. He's sobbing. And people are lining up to shake my hands. And I'm like, okay, brother, take it easy. Inshallah, it's all good. Don't worry. And he's crying like a baby. And then he said, do you remember me? I looked at him and I said, I'm sorry. I meet hundreds and thousands of people in masjid, in the conference. He said, I came to you 2 years ago. I had 4 mortgages. And when I was talking to you, I said, this Imam is crazy. What is he talking about? He doesn't know anything. Everybody's doing this, man. What are you talking about? How can I live? But then at a moment, I said to myself, why can't I try? I said, I went and I got rid of my mortgages. It was very tough. The last 2 years were very tough on me to pay off and take this and pay this and take this and pay this. And he said, guess what? After 2 years now, he said, I own an apartment. I'm not renting. I own an apartment. And alhamdulillah, I have $10,000 for the first time in my life as savings in my bank account. And do you know the volunteer that you're always praising in the masjid now? I said, yes. He said, this is my wife. He said, do you know the kids that are using around you all the time and they come and play ping pong with you? I said, yes. He said, these are my kids. So Allah turned his life and blessed his family and blessed his money. Is it difficult? Yes, it is. Do I have to go through a test? Yes, you have to. But at least I said, if you meet Allah now, you are in good terms with Allah. Is that clear? So, imagine if the Prophet doesn't pray on somebody who has a halal debt. What about somebody who will die with a haram debt? How could you meet with Allah with that? And simply because, oh, everybody owned a house, I wanted to own a house. Ya akhi, rent a house because we are visitors. We are travelers in this life. This is what the Prophet ﷺ told Abdullah ibn Umar. He said, عِشْ فِي الدُّنْيَا كَأَنَّكَ غَرِيبٌ. Abdullah, listen. Live in this life as if you're a stranger. If I'm a stranger and coming to this city, when I first came, when you met me, like, what do I carry? 2, 3 bags. Right? And he said, no, live as a traveler. Because a stranger might have all his belongings and he's going to move from one city to another. He said, no, no, as a traveler. A traveler has a bag or two and he's always ready to leave. So when you leave and meet with Allah, you know, your load will not be heavy. Is that clear? And this is why they asked Abdullah ibn Umar after applying the advice of the Prophet, they said to him, man, how you trust this life? He said, if I made it to the evening, I am not sure if I can make it to the morning. But you know our plans, mashallah, we have a 10-year plan, 20-year plan. There is nothing wrong with that, wallahi. To plan your life is nothing wrong. But do you have a plan for your akhirah too? Planning for the dunya is not wrong. But do you have a plan for akhirah? What if you meet Allah tonight? Are you ready? Or are you going to say, no, I just need a month. I have many accounts to settle. I have many people to talk to. I have to apologize to this. I have to give this back to this. Think about this. Okay, so if we already engaged in something, try to get rid of it as soon as possible. Next question. Yes. Okay, let's just break it down in a very simple way. You say interest. What's interest? Interest is riba. So you're telling me giving is halal or taking is haram, or taking is halal and giving is haram. We're just talking about riba. Who will decide? Allah said, Allah made it haram. Period. No discussion. Very simple. When somebody comes and tries to play around, I know some people will tell you, it's like a return on your money. It's, and this is the game of giving beautiful names to things that are haram. They're not going to tell you, like go against the Sunnah and go against the Quran and no hijab. They're going to say to you, fashion, man. Are you not following the fashion? What's the fashion? Take off the hijab. Be fashionable. It's not alcohol, akhi. It's called spirits. It's called spirits. Spiritual drinks. Come on. Don't lie to me. Don't try to make things look nice. Okay? You give it whatever name you want. Whatever will make me toxican is haram. Done. And they'll tell you, well, I'm a social drinker. I just drink a bit. I don't get drunk. You know what the Prophet ﷺ told us? He made it clear. In Sahih ibn Hibban, made it clear. Okay? Chapter 30, the topic is called toxicants. He said, مَا أَسْكَرَ كَثِيرُهُ فَقَلِيلُهُ حَرَامٌ. If you drink too much of something and it makes you, intoxicant, he said, then drinking a little bit of it is haram. Why? Because you never know. That social drinker, go to the rehabilitation centers. They will tell you most of the addicts were social drinkers at the beginning. Then they get angry, they drink more, that's it. This is why I was in another city and there was a car accident and there was like a line of cars and we're sitting there, it's not moving. So it was summer, so we went out of the cars just to enjoy, like what's going on, like we're not going to be sitting in the car. Funny thing is, next to the car accident, there was a sign in the street, it says, do not drink and drive. So I went close and I put my hand, because the police officer was there, I put my hand on and drive. So what can you only read? Do not drink. I said, if we follow this, we wouldn't have this accident. Because the guy was drunk and he ended up killing himself, his mom and dad, his girlfriend, and 4 people in the car behind him and 4 people in the car in front of him. I said, Islam says, don't drink. Okay? Because today I might drink a little bit, but tomorrow, and then how many times have you seen people involved in car accidents who were drunk? So learn, use this. Because what does drinking do? We have a doctor here, right? They say it stops your inhibition center. You know what's inhibition center? that there is like in your brain, there is a center that sends you a message, this is not appropriate, don't do this. Okay? So if you are sitting in the masjid now and you feel the call for nature, would you do like that Arabi and like, where's the mihrab here? Okay, this place, I'm going to urinate there, right there. Your inhibition center is going to say, no, this is not appropriate. There's a washroom downstairs. Then you listen to that in your brain and then you go and follow that. Right? The 8% of incest, you know the meaning of the word incest? It's like zina al-maharim, meaning people committing adultery with their own family members. A brother with a sister, a son with a mother, okay? They say those 8%, 85% of them did this when they were drunk because the inhibition center was not working. So you can't do this with your mother. Do you know what the Prophet ﷺ said about riba? He said, dirham riba, if you deal with riba, 1 cent. Okay, dirham means like the silver coin at that time. أشد عند الله من 36 زانية أدناها أن يأتي رجل It's worse in the sight of Allah than committing zina 36 times. Okay? And it's worse than committing like zina with your own mother. And today, how much cents, how much dollars, how much hundreds, how much thousands are involved in riba? So don't listen to those games, going in loops around it. So there was a hand before, and then we'll come to you, inshallah. Yes. So the brother is saying, there are ibadat which regulates your life with Allah. But then what about your relationship with people? How do they relate to each other? Can I be a very good, mashallah, musalli and muzakki and hajj and sa'im, but then when it comes to dealing with people? Let me just summarize it in a very simple statement, then we can elaborate on that. Islam is an uninterrupted chain of 4 components. Let me repeat the statement again. Islam is an uninterrupted chain of 4 components. You can't disconnect them. They are related. So can you repeat them after me? Aqidah, ibadah, akhlaq, muamalat. You can't disconnect them. One leads to the other. Okay? So aqidah, what's aqidah? A set of beliefs. You believe in Allah, you believe in the angels, you believe in the messengers, you believe in the books, you believe in the day of judgment, you believe in the qadr of Allah. Right? Islam is 5 pillars, right? Shahada, this is your gate. Then salah, siyam, zakah, hajj. Right? Now, let me explain it like this. There is a vertical relationship. Can you say this again? Vertical relationship, up and down. And there is a horizontal relationship. Okay? The vertical relationship is your relationship with Allah. This is the most important one. Then you have a relationship with your fellow human beings. Right? So, I can be the best one to pray. I can be the best one to do siyam. I can be the best one to give zakah. I can be the best one to go and do hajj every year. Okay? But why do I pray? Why do I fast? Why do I give zakah? Why do I go for hajj? Sometimes we don't ask this question. Behind every ibadah, there's an outcome. There's a fruit. And only people who understand the meaning of ibadah will get that fruit. Otherwise, you can be wasting your time. Do you know some people in your family who, mashallah, they have that sign of like, mashallah, big sign here that they pray like, mashallah, 9 times a day? Do you pray 9 times a day? Okay, I thought it changed in Saskatoon. How many in Saskatoon? Still 5? Alhamdulillah. And they do lots of nawafil, right? They pray qiyamul layl, They don't only pray, they don't only fast Ramadan, but they fast Mondays and Thursdays and the 3 days in the middle of the lunar moon calendar, right? They don't even go for Hajj and Umrah one time. They go, mashallah, every year Allah has given them money, right? But then, when it comes to dealing with their families and their neighbors, they're the worst people. Is that wrong or wrong? These people didn't benefit from their ibadah. Why? Because why do I pray? وَأَقِمِ الصَّلَاةِ. Why, Ya Allah? إِنَّ الصَّلَاةَ تَنْهَى عَنِ الْفَحْشَاءِ وَالْمُنكَرِ. Because gradually your salah will stop you from saying or doing anything wrong. So if that doesn't change, congratulations for the physical exercise. MashaAllah, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Done. You moved your body, MashaAllah. But you didn't benefit from your salah. You're not even connected with Allah. Is that clear? So if somebody is praying and backbiting, did your salah stop you from that? Then you're still in the process of achieving the goal of salah. I'm serious. But we shouldn't rush people. The Prophet ﷺ came one time and the Sahaba told him, Prophet Allah, do you know that person over there? He always commits adultery. What did he say? Did he say, Astaghfirullah, najis, that's impure, take him out of the masjid? No, he said, Da'uh, فَإِنَّ صَلَاتَهُ سَوْفَ تَنْهَى. Leave him, because inshallah gradually his salah will stop him. We never lose hope in Allah.